Hello everybody and welcome to Storm Reads, and today I'm going to be doing my April TBR, and mostly it's going to be a pile of possibilities and hopes that I get to some of these, but I have so many different things that I want to read in April that yeah, it's going to be really hard to decide what I'm going to do. I've got a lot of like projects, and then there's some just a readathon that I want to participate in and things like that. And I will go over all of that after I do my TBR game. And so before I get into how this TBR game went, I will talk about, how last one went. So for March, I needed to read a mystery that had odd numbered pages, which was really hard because none of the books that I wanted to read had odd numbered pages. It was really weird. So then I ended up having to read 2 of the Gaslight books to get to, that one, because the first in the Gaslight that I needed to read next was number 19, but it had even numbers. But number 20 in the Gaslight series, which is Murder on Bower Street, I think, or something like that, or Row or something. That one's number 20. It had an odd number page, and so currently I'm in the middle of reading or listening to that one because I listened to this on audio. I really love that series, so it didn't break my heart to have to do 2 in a month. And then the next one was I needed a middle grade book with a body part on the cover, and so for that I read The Body Under the Piano by Martha Jocelyn, I believe. It's the Aggie Morton number 1, and I picked that as like kind of a read along for March Mystery Madness, because it was a mystery and the character Aggie is kind of portrayed as like an Agatha Christie, a young Agatha Christie, and her new friend that she makes, Hector Poirot, which I thought that was really fun, and the audiobook was a hoot. I really loved that one. I gave it 5 stars. And then the next one was on something about On My Walk. I discovered a weapon, and something shiny. Is that a weapon? I think is how it says. Anyway, I needed a weapon on the cover, and so for that I read Great Deliverance by Elizabeth George. This has a axe right there in that, and so I used this one. It's the first book in the Inspector Lynley series, and I have been wanting to read this series for a long time. I actually think I may have read this one like years ago, but it's been so long that I couldn't remember anything. And I knew a few things from this, but I think mostly it's because I have watched the TV adaptation of Inspector Lynley, which I really liked, which is what prompted me to want to try to read these, because they're definitely different. I mean, you can tell like the similarities, but the Inspector Lynley in here's got kind of a blondish colored hair, where Nathaniel Parker, who plays him in the TV series, has about as black a hair as it can be. So that was like a little like, okay. But yeah, there are quite a few like differences and things like that. But overall, I think they kind of go pretty good together. At least the first episode, which was The Great Deliverance, because I decided to watch it over again. But yeah, I'm hoping that I will get more of the dynamics between Inspector Lynley and Barbara Havers. You get kind of a little bit of that in the show, but I think having her inner monologue and stuff like that is a lot different, and so you get like a little bit of a different perspective of her, because she really hates like the upper class, and since he's like the 8th Earl of Asherton, so they really bump heads quite a bit in here, and so it's really interesting. I think it's going to be kind of fun to see how their relationship kind of builds as they go, as as a working relationship or whatever, so it'll be fun. Then the next one I needed was an adult thriller, and the prompt I got was Dictionary Word of the Day, which, if y'all remember, was skijorin or something like that. And I thought I was never going to find anything. But I ended up with High Stake Blizzard by Rebecca Hopewell, which I did finish. It just did kind of fell a little bit flat for me. I gave it 2 stars. It was like quite action packed, and I mean, but you're just in the middle of this blizzard in the woods, and that's all it was. So even though it seemed like there was a lot of action, it was quite boring for me. Then the next one I had is Things Are Getting Scary. Yeah, so it was to read a thriller or a horror book. And I am in the middle of the one for this, which is Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I'm not liking it really all that well right at the moment, so hopefully it gets better as we go. I'm almost about halfway through it, but yeah, it's kind of been kind of a slow one, to me anyway. So that's how the ones for last month are going. And so now we are going to pick some books for this go around. Okay, so I'm going to go for roll 1. And so it's a 7. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see what this one is. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this one. It's join a community, and what that means is it says you look around and see, you join a community activity, you look around and see a lot more seniors than those your age. Then it says read a book involving seniors. So for my first roll, I will need to pick a book involving seniors in some way. So for roll number 1, I got join a community activity. You look around and see that there's a lot more seniors than people your age. Read a book that involves seniors in some way. And so I'm going to give the third book in the I can't remember. Poppy McAllister series, that's it, by Libby Klein. I need to read Restaurant Weeks Are Murder, and she has her Aunt Jenny and her Aunt Jenny's friends and stuff, which are definitely seniors, and I'm not a real huge fan of this compared to everybody else who absolutely loves this series, so I'm going to give it one more chance and see if I continue to read it or if I just decide not to. It's its last chance. Okay, so now for roll 2. And I have a 10. I think we'll do this one. It's a beautiful day. Okay, so It's a Beautiful Day is to read a book that will make me happy. I like those kind of prompts. That one I think I can pretty much guarantee to find a book for. So roll number 2 was It's a Beautiful Day, read a book that makes you happy. So read a book that makes me happy. And since I was going to need to put this book on my April TBR, and you will see more about this later, I put A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, because this book does make me happy. I mean, I've read it several times, so it must make me happy. And so yeah, I can't wait to dive back into this and give it another read. Okay, so now we're going for roll number 3, and this is the longest I think I've stayed around the board and not been in the middle. Let's see how far that goes. And so, got a 9. I think both of those prompts I have done before. I was trying to see if I could find something different that I haven't done yet. But let's see. So I can either read a romance book or Read a thriller or a horror. Well, my goal is to read a lot of thrillers, so we'll just go back here to where I started off and pick a thriller. So basically it's there's a note on your car, it's a warning, things are getting scary, read a thriller or a horror book. And so I actually have some on my actual April TBR that I was wanting to get to, so this is a good prompt. And so again, this is like a popular prompt that I seem to land on a lot, but it says there's a note on your car, it's a warning, things are getting scary, to read a thriller or a horror. But it works out really well because I had planned, trying to get some of the books that I had planned for April on here, and I have this one planned. So it's The Last Party by Claire McIntosh, I believe is her name. It's the first book in the DC Morgan series. And so I've read one other book by her and I enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy another one. Okay, so here's for roll number 4. 12. Okay. 12. Well, I am going to go here, I think, because that will put me in the horror room. And let's see. Right there. So, the square over here is middle grade horror. So I will look for a middle grade horror and see what I can come up with, which actually kind of works out because of a readathon I'm wanting to work on. So, but first I have to get a prompt, which could mess things up. We'll see how it goes. So now I need to go to the random number generator and generate a prompt. So I have 64, which is, one of these days I'll put them on a spin the wheel and we'll try to do it that way. It just takes a lot of typing out. Okay, 64. Oh, Alyssa. Okay. Actually, this one works out really well for me. Thank you, board. Thank you, board. So, number 64 is to read a book released 10 years or 10 or more years. And since I'm doing like the nostalgia, old school April or whatever, which is all about nostalgia reads, that will work out really well for me. So I will come back with a old middle grade. And then my fourth roll, I got a middle grade horror, and the prompt for it was to read a book that was 10 years old or older. And this fits really well with the old school April readathon that I was wanting to participate a little bit in. I will talk more about it after this as well. But I'm going to read Goosebumps number 6, Let's Get Invisible, because it's the next book in the Goosebumps series that I needed to read. I know you don't have to read them in order, but you know how I am. I like to do it in order, and so that's what I'm doing. And so I'm on number 6. My last roll, number 5, will be a 9. What is it with these really high numbers today? So we got a 9, and I wanted to stay in the horror square, so we'll see how we can make this work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. I really want another middle grade, so I need another middle grade horror. So we're gonna hope for something good. I always forget that I gotta randomize. There we go. So bump the number. I don't know if you can see it, but it's number 59. Oh, and 59 is a mood read. Yes. Okay, so the board was really nice to me this go around, because now I need a middle grade horror book that is a mood read. And so I will go and get something. And yes, Yay for the board this
So
the last roll that I've got another middle grade horror because I am in the horror room and I wanted to try to put another middle grade on here because it would work really well with the readathon that I was going to be in. And so this time though, whenever I got the middle grade prompt, I got a mood read. So that works out really well because then I could just pick whatever middle grade horror book I want. And so I'm going to go with a new one that I just got from NetGalley, and it's called Freddy's McFright's Chilling Night. And I went ahead and picked this one by Avery Spooks because it fits with the old school April, because there are one of the prompts is to either read Goosebumps or to read something from the list of Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. So like if you can make it fit like one of the episodes, and in one of the episodes it's called, the lady who puts this together has a really cool list. And so A Tale of the Shiny Red Bicycle is a ghost story, and so Freddie McFright is a ghost, so that works really well with that. So I can add that to that readathon. So I was really happy about that. Overall, I do believe that the prompts this time and the rolls and everything went in my favor, so that I could add a lot of things that I needed to actually read that I was wanting to read, so that I didn't have to have anything extra. Because that's always what I always worry about, is if one of these is going to make me read something that I can't fit into something else, or that I'm not really wanting to read. But yeah, this time it worked out pretty good, so I'm really, really happy. And so next up is going to be all about all the things that I have coming up in April and books that I would like to try to get to. So, okay, so here is my April pile of possibilities that I'm going to add on to besides what I have for my game. I decided that I wanted to do an author appreciation April, where I look back at some of the authors that I have read before that, you know, I liked their book, but then I never read anything else from them, and I'm like, why? I could be missing out on a lot of really cool books because I've never read any more from them. Or maybe I read the first book in the series and I really liked it, but then I never continued on with the series and I need to get to a book 2. Or something like that. I have a list of like categories. So like read a book from an author I've read in the past, but then I never picked anything else up from the author. Start another series by an author that I have loved a series from, but I was kind of afraid to try another. Read a book from a series that I loved the first one, but then I never read book 2. And then binge a couple of books from an author I really love, and then read from my favorite author's backlist. So like there's, you know, so many piles of possibilities here and everything. And I went looking back at just things on my Goodreads, the people that I have read before, and I'm like, you know, what do they have, and see if anything that they had put out that I thought might be interesting and things like that. So I have books for that. And then I also, there's Amish in April, which hosted by Sarah from the Bookish Knitter and Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. And I believe it's like either the last week or the week and a half of the month. I can't remember exactly. I mean, I'll have all the dates and everything down below, but I always like to try to pick out an Amish book to read for that. I would like to get to the next book I need to read in the Amish Mystery Series by Laura Bradford, which is, I think it's Just Plain Murder. I'll put it here. I think that's the one. I only have 2 left in that series, but every time I put it on hold, when it comes in when I'm not ready for it or I have too many things going, and there's no audiobook, so I have to read the actual ebook, so a lot of times I just have too many things going on to put another one. And so I keep putting it back and putting it back. And then the seventh one, which is the last one, would come in. And I'm like, oh no, so I have to put it back. And it's just been a cycle. And so I would really like for one of them to come in during the month of April. And if it does, then I will read. Well, I need Just Plain Murder, not just one of them. I need Just Plain Murder because, you know, I do read in order. So I need that one to pop in and surprise me in April. That would be nice. But the other book, though, that I want to read is the third book in the Kate Burkholder series. And I don't remember what it's called, so just one moment. So yeah, the third one that is the one I need to read, and it's called Breaking Silence. Police Chief Kate Burkholder is called to the scene of a horrific tragedy on the peaceful Amish farm. Have no clue what's going on. I don't want to read any more. These are very gritty, very gruesome. They are definitely not your cutesy, cozy kind of Amish reads. Kate Burkholder used to be Amish, but she's not anymore, and she is the police chief around there, and so it involves the English and the Amish and everything, so it's mixed, but definitely fits for the readathon. And if I can, I would like to read a couple, and that would be reading 2 books from the same series. And so I could read Gone Missing, which is number 4. And, oh, this one's about a Rumspringa, so that'll be interesting and everything. So, yeah, I really like this series, but, yeah, like, it's really dark and gritty and everything. So be prepared if you do want to try that series, that it's definitely not like the cutesy ones that you see. And then you've already heard me kind of mention that I would like to participate in Old School April. It's hosted by Kelsi from Slam and Slasher and a slew of other co-hosts. Kelsi was the original creator. That she did this last year and she was by herself, but this year she's got some great co-hosts to go with her. She split it up into 3 teams. And since I said I didn't care what team they put me on or anything, you know, I was just going to be lightly kind of participating. You know, maybe I can get 2 or 3 points for my team, but I don't know how many points I'll be able to get for the team, but I just wanted to participate. And so she put me with the, some kind of snake. Silver snakes? It's some kind of snake. I can't remember. It has to do with some kind of old TV show that she watched back in the day and everything, like growing up. I don't remember ever seeing that show. I don't think I've ever seen it. It may have been like on like Nickelodeon or Disney or something, but I don't remember ever, you know. So I'm like clueless to the team names and all that stuff that's with that. But if you go and look up Kelsi from Slime and Slasher's video announcement, she goes very in-depth into everything and how it all works. There's a lot of fun prompts. It's not only is it for reading, it's also for watching. So, and it's got a lot to do with like horror, but she tries to make it to where you can read any genre. And so like there's like one of the prompts is to, it's got a bingo board, and like it's to read like a Goosebumps or a book that could be included with the Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. Read an 80s horror or something like that, or something that's, even if it's new, it was set in the 80s. I mean, it's all about like the 80s and 90s nostalgia. And the watch along is the same thing. It's like, you know, watch old school like 70s horror flick or an 80s horror flick, or not, you know, or watch an episode of Nickelodeon or Disney or stuff like that. It's rare. It's got a lot of stuff going on, so it's very hard to like explain. But like I said, I'm just hoping that some of the books and stuff that I have will fit in with some of the prompts. That's my goal. I may get more points for watching horror movies than reading, but I'm going to try to participate into it anyway. And also, Elizabeth from, I don't know if I say this right, Bookwins and Books, is doing her very first readathon, and it's called People April, so I wanted to participate in that. And the way I'm going to probably participate in that is to read their group read, which is The Five by Haley Rubenhold. I've been wanting to read this. I'm a big, I like pretty much all things Jack the Ripper. I know that sounds bad, but I've always been into that kind of stuff. And so I've always been wanting to read this. And so this kind of gives me that push to do it. And basically it is about the 5 women that Jack the Ripper killed. And it's just kind of, you know, talking about their lives. Because you don't really get that a whole lot in a Jack the Ripper book. You get more about him, but, you know, they were real people. And so it's going to talk about them and their lives and stuff, which I think would be kind of interesting. And so that's going to be my participation into People April. If you like to read biographies and memoirs and autobiographies and things like that, then go and check out Elizabeth from Bookwind and Books. And of course I will have everything linked below. And then, what else do I have going? Oh, and I had a lady that follows me on YouTube and stuff, and she may be in Discord, I'm not sure. But she was wanting to know if I would do a read-along for Discovery of Witches. Kind of like whenever I asked people if they wanted to read The Count of Monte Cristo with me. And so we're going to read this one, and if everybody enjoys it, or if a lot of people enjoy it, then next month, or not next month, and this is going to be for April, so in May, I'm getting my months confused, in May, then we'll continue on with the next one, and then we'll do the third one, you know, the following month or whatever. We'll just do them in order like that. And if people aren't as into it as I am, that's okay. It will hurt my heart a little bit, but we don't have to continue, but I would like to, because I've read this one several times, but I've only read Shadow of Night and the Book of Life like once. So I really need to give them another read, because they're really hard for me to remember things, because I've only read them once, where I've read this one like several times, and even that I still have a hard time telling people what it's about. But I'm pretty sure everybody's heard me talk about this one. Matthew and Diane is one of my favorite like book couples, and yes, one's a vampire and one's a witch. And if you don't like vampires, it's mostly like about DNA, because like their species is dying out and they're trying to figure out, like, a vampire, they're not being able to sire as much. Like, it's not taking hold. The person that they're trying to turn into a vampire, that maybe even wants to be a vampire, it's not working, and they're dying instead. And witches, there's not as many witches. Demons are going crazy, and they're acting really strange and things like that, and they need help. Something's wrong with their DNA. And that, to me, is kind of like what this is about. It's about them trying to save their, like, species and all that stuff. But then you've got some, of course, that don't want the vampires to know anything, because the witches think that they're better than the vampires. And of course, vampires and witches are not supposed to be together, and so there's all that and everything like that. There's not a lot of, like, I don't know, mean, aggressive vampire stuff, and they're not sparkly either. Matthew, if you didn't know that he was a vampire, you might not even realize it, because he's, you know, they're pretty civil people, so I don't know. But I really, really like it, and yeah, so I'm excited to give this one another read. So yeah, like I said about my author appreciation April and stuff, so here are some things and some possibilities that I would like to get to. So I mentioned Claire McIntosh whenever I was doing my game, because I had read a book of hers back in 2018, and I think it was called Let Me Lie or something like that. Yeah, I put it there. Yeah, I enjoyed Let Me Lie, and I've never read anything since then. I mean, 2018, and it's 2023, and I've never tried any of her other books. I mean, I don't know. That's just kind of, you know, strange for... I need to be a better book person. So, I'd like to read The Last Party by her. It's the D.C. Morgan #1, like I said when I was telling you in my game. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to really know anything since it's a thriller. It just looked really cool, and you know me in series, so I was like, yeah, we'll try this one since it's a series. Okay, so I like the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. Not so much the last couple of books, but I still like it, so I've never tried her Lady Julia Gray series, so I would like to try Silent in the Grave. It's the first book in that series. I need to give another one of her series a try, and so that's what I'm going to do. And then, I read the first book in the Verity Kent series, I think last year. And I really, really enjoyed it, but then I never continue on with the series. So I would like to continue on with that series and see if I like that, because I think she's got more series that I could get into. But I want to read more than just the one book from this one series before I try any of her other series. So I need to try Treacherous in the Night by Anna Lee Hubbard. And I picked my person that I want to do kind of a deep dive into, like I did with Stuart Gibbs. This one, of course, is another middle grader. Middle grade author. And so, Chris Gravenstein, because I absolutely love the Mr. Limoncello series. And this guy's got quite a few series. He's got some series and things like that he has co-wrote with James Patterson and things like that, and I'd like to give him a try. I think they might be cute. But I know he's got like the iFunny series is written with James Patterson, and there's several of those that I could get into. And he has a Max Einstein, The Genius Experiment, which is also with Patterson, and then I think that the Dog Squad may be with Patterson too, but I think that those all sound really, really cute, and so I would like to kind of dive into those series of his and read more Chris Gravenstein. Like I did like all the Stuart Gibbs last year, I would like to read quite a few of his books this year. And so I may do a lot more than just one book from each of those series, depending on time. And then another author that I absolutely love her books, but I've never tried some of her other series. I read, one of her favorite series is the Scottish Bookshop series by Paige Hilton. I love that series. I've also read some of hers. I think the one that's like only got 3, is it Dangerous Type? I think she did that one too. Yeah, she did that one too. I should look at my notes. But she has this series that I've had my eye on for a while, and it's the Alaska Wild series. And so it doesn't look quite as cozy as her other ones, so I don't know if it is or not. So I'm really curious to give it a try. And the first one in that is Thin Ice, and so I would like to give that a try. And then I'm not going to name a whole bunch because I'm just going to pick whatever, but I need to pick some of my number 2s. From the giant list that I have going on, because I have been looking at all the series that I have going, and I've been writing them down. Now some of them, I have been writing some of them down that I have finished, but I just wanted to keep a record of them. But yeah, it still doesn't put a dent in anything, but I have like 318 series currently written on my spreadsheet, and there's a lot of book number 2s on there. That I need to get to. That I've read the first book, I really enjoyed it, it's on my list, I need to get to number 2, and then I've failed miserably. So I would like to pick some of the number 2s and get to those. And let's see. I do have another one here. So in my anticipated reads, I don't know if it was in March or if it's the one that I'm working on for April. I can't remember. But there was one that's called The Maid's Diary. And it is by Lorith Ann White. And I did not even realize that I have read a book from her before. So that's how bad I am, okay? The name didn't even faintly... But I was looking through my Goodreads, And I was like, oh, hey, that's the author from that one book that I had just recently seen. So I read In the Barren Ground back in 2016. Now, how many books from that lady have I missed because I didn't pick up anymore? So I want to try to grab some of hers. I know the newest book, The Maid's Diary, sounds really, really good. But she has some other ones too, so if I don't get to the recent one that comes out, I would like to at least try to get to one of her backlist ones. I didn't put anything down. I just mentioned that this is how bad it was, okay? I loved it, and I even mentioned on Goodreads in my review of On In the Barren Grounds that I can't wait to try another book from this author. Yet I didn't do it. So I feel like a really bad reader. So I've got to straighten up some of this. I feel really bad. Okay. Oh, I did list some that she has. It's just on that other page because I have my notes here. So she has a book called In the Dark and Beneath Devil's Bridge and A Dark Lure, and they all look really interesting. So I got a lot to choose from. I don't know what I'm going to choose from. And then I would like to try to get to one of Hunter Shea's backlist books. He's my favorite horror author, and he has a lot of backlist books that I haven't read. His books will fit really good with the Old School April, because one of the prompts is to read a killer animal book, and he has one. Yeah, so one of his backlist books that I would like to get to, it's called The Montauk Monster, and it says, it kills, it breeds, it spreads. And it's about a monster in the lake, and yeah, I don't know what kind of monster, but it looks really scary because you'll see it here. And so that definitely fit with the killer animal, because she said you could use creatures or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to use that for that. And so, yeah, I can't wait, because I've had my eye on this one for a while. So I need to read it. But I'm not finished. I also need to put into the mix Deadly Notions by Elizabeth Lynn Casey, because Killing Time with Cozy Discord group is doing a read-along of the Southern Sewing Circle, and that one, it'll be the next one up. So that'll be number 4, and so I'll need to read that one, and I can only get that on ebook. So I usually start it at the beginning of the month, and by the time that it's time for it to be talked about, I got it finished. And then I have 2 more. I have buddy reads. So I have 2 buddy reads with my friend Barb. We've decided to read the next book in the Virgin River series, which is Hidden Summit by Robin Carr. And this is Virgin River number 15. And I don't know anything about it. I just know it's the next one we need to read. And then I got her going on the Crew of Hunter series. And so she's on number 2, and I told her I would go back and I would read the series over with her. I'm on like number 17, but since she's wanting to read them and she's wanting to kind of throw them into our buddy reads, I said, hey, yeah, we could buddy read that. I'll go back. I mean, I probably don't remember anything from those books anyway, to be honest, but I absolutely love the Crew of Hunter series, so I'm excited to get back to it. So Heart of Evil by Heather Graham is the second book in that series. I would like to try to read the first one, because I haven't read the first one in a while. But if not, I'm okay. Since I've already read them, I don't mind jumping around. But yeah, so I know this has probably been a really long video, and I apologize for that. But there were just so many things going on in April that I wanted to try to dip my toe into, even if I don't do a whole lot. I told myself I was not going to go gung-ho on any readathons, that I was just going to try to put whatever I wanted to read into them, and you know, not go too much out of my way of reading books that I don't already have on my radar. And so I think I did okay. I mean, with the Goosebumps, I mean, I've started that series, so it's a good excuse to just read another one. So, yeah, so, are you participating in any of these? let me know if you're participating in any of these down below. And if you're wanting to participate in Old School April and you're not on a Team Snakes. I don't remember what the first part of it is called, but it's something snakes. And everything. And let me know if you've read any of these books. If you think I will like them that I've picked, and if you've lasted this long, I don't know. Give me a book emoji or something, just to let me know that you hung out this long, even if you don't want to comment. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.